bunch of 1930s buildings. Because spring of 1933, we had an earthquake that took out a lot of our buildings. So it looks like we're all assembled. Feel free to snuggle up close so you can hear. This is a really dynamic presentation. Jeff Gatley, Kevin Spaeth, and Scott Ringwelski will take you back in time to the 1930s, when the city was abuzz with a controversy that could make the city wealthy or not. Scott is portraying Glen, local businessman and port commissioner. Jeff is the dedicated reporter chronicling the controversy, and Kevin's our narrator. We offer this story in commemoration of the 100th anniversary of the port.
Things haven't changed much in Long Beach since the 1930s. Well, okay. Maybe they have. See a lot more people here than I did back then. Also, the port and downtown sure have seen their fair share of changes. But you know what? The city still experiences its fair share of scandal. Some things never change. Back in the 1930s, the big news in Long Beach was oil. A large oil field was discovered under the harbor. There's a lot of money to be made from it, and several competing interests involved.
That's a good start for a scandal. Oil, money, big business.
Thanks for that introduction. Hi, folks. My name is Glen Clark, and I serve proudly on the Harbor Commission here in the city of Long Beach from 1939 through 1941. I was ousted, along with Frederick Miller, from the commission in a but I the oil from the harbor, but I get ahead of myself. Born in Missouri. Came to Long Beach 1920, back before they discovered oil here. And in those days, this was a premier resort town. They had everything. They had the pike, and they had the plunge, and they had beautiful young girls with long hair and short dresses that would show the knees. And they would dance and dance all night long. Of course, I was living here with my beautiful and lovely wife, Mary Lou. Sorry, Mary Lou got distracted there. We lived at the Broadland Hotel at corner of Broadway and Linden here in Long Beach. I was a very successful businessman. I was a tobacco wholesaler back in an era when smoking was considered suave, sexy, sophisticated. Goodness, how attitudes have changed since the 1930s. I don't think I can smoke anywhere in any of the Pine Avenue restaurants anymore. Such a shame. But anyway, I was appointed to the Harbor Commission in 1931. In those days, the harbor was small and kind of quiet people. All that changed in 1936 when they discovered oil underneath the harbor. There was a fortune to be made in oil, and the city wanted it to do.
The city, the state, and the feds could all lay claim to the land that sat above the oil, and hence they all believed they owned the oil underneath it. Whoever got there first was going to have the advantage in getting the most oil, and hence the most money out of it. In Huntington Beach, a little town south of here, the city delayed and private interests swooped in and got the rights to drill their tidelands.
There's a real possibility that might happen here in Long Beach. Private companies get the oil.
Just like today, bureaucracy moves slowly in the 1930s. Something never changed.
Dateline 1939. Senator Gerald P. Nye of North Dakota introduces a bill in the Senate that would claim that the marginal seas of all U.S. coastal states is actually owned by the federal government. If he's able to successfully make that claim and pass that bill, then the right to drill the oil would actually belong to Uncle Sam.
Okay, I ask you, what could North Dakota possibly know about a coastal state? Clearly, this bill was in direct conflict with the best interests of this city. Besides, the state had given us the tidelands in 1911, long before anyone knew there was ever any oil in the area.
Now, the only thing the Harbor Commission could agree on, the Nye bill was bad. Bad for the city and bad for the port.
There are several options on the table of how to deal with this issue.
there was approximately 260 acres of oil, and the city had an urgency to get contracts written before private landholders started drilling on their own.
Now, if the city entered into a regular contract with an oil company to extract that oil, then the state could make the claim that they were in violation of the 1911 grant that gave them the land. And if they're able to do that, then they would own the oil, and the money and revenue from that would flow up to Sacramento.
And that's what happened in Los Angeles at the Venice oil field. Where Venice is?
Yep.
That is full of oil. Private companies got control, and all the money went to the state. Not what happened.
In our plan, we flat out claimed we owned everything to get around the issues that would have sent ownership back to the state. We own it all, and we are going to hire a consortium of companies, Hancock, Standard Oil, to pump it out of the ground for us.
This consortium is called the Long Beach Oil Development Company.
See, in our plan, the city of Long Beach was going to pay all of the related costs to help the LBOD pump out the oil for us. Then after those costs were recovered, Long Beach would take the lion's share of all the profits, and a small percentage would go back to the LBOD for extracting it for us. And I need to mention there was a city manager by the name of Dorton. He and I didn't see eye to eye on anything, especially the details of this contract.
On February the 2nd, 1939, in a front page editorial, Long Beach Press Telegram newspaper, wondering about all the secrecy that's taking place in the Harbor Commission concerning the oil.
Fact is, the only secret was that the commission could not agree on anything and was at an impasse.
On February the 21st, 1939, Dorton and the city council in a had us removed from our positions on the commission. Millard, my friend, was replaced by Carl Schenck. Carl Schenck was a real estate developer. He and his partner McGrath, they dredged and built and developed what is today known as Naples Island and Belmont Shore. Also had a small interest in the local ice. A week later, just 1 week later, amazingly, Carl had resigned his post. Seems that someone found in the fine print of the commission's charter a proviso that stated that no public utilities manager could possibly serve on the commission. And as we all know, water, telephone, electricity, and ice vendors are public utilities. Who would have known? Oh, and a couple of years after that, in the early 1940s, a group of engineers suddenly came down to take a look at the harbor, and guess what they discovered? The harbor was sinking. Oh, cold subsidence happens when you pump before you think. Anyway, imagine a giant cake with a pudding filling and frosting on the top of it. The frosting is the water, and the cake is the soil, and the pudding is the oil. You stick a straw in there, and you start sucking out the pudding, and eventually the entire cake caves in on itself. Now, I'm no engineer, but that's a nice simplistic way of explaining what subsidence is.
Now, the city and the oil companies would never admit that subsidence was caused by the drilling of the oil. But it was. Millions have been spent to raise the harbor. But many more millions have been made by pumping that oil out.
Over 70 years, millions of dollars from Long Beach, millions of dollars are flowing into the city, developing the downtown area on Thailand from this oil. 70 years because of the actions of the city council many years ago. And of course,
Even though I was removed from the commission by the city, I remained a citizen in exceptionally good standing within the community. I was a Mason. I was a Shriner. I was a member of the Elks Club. I was a member of the Virginia Country Club and the Pacific Coast Club and the Long Beach Yacht Club. And I was made an honorary lieutenant. I remained a successful businessman throughout my life, because throughout my life and beyond, smoking remained suave, sexy, and okay, I look at the harbor today, and I like what I see. You know, they have new challenges. They're always expanding. There is, of course, security issues. That's big these days. And electrification, that's another issue that they have. But overall, it's very... Oh, hey, honey! The Broadland Hotel, it's still there! Yeah, isn't that amazing? Oh, and the harbor is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. I know. Time flies when you're having fun. I'm very proud to have been a small part of that history of the Port of Long Beach. And I thank all of you for coming today and spending a small part of your day hearing about a small part